It's over. The wait is finished. Not because the calendar flipped, not because time just passed on its own, not because you finally became good enough, but because you did something. A small gesture. Quiet. One you might barely have called a decision. And in the exact moment you did that thing, heaven answered. The calling that lived in the state of a promise entered the state of a path. What was waiting turned into movement, and I needed you to hear this before anything else. What I've been waiting years for from you has already happened. Stay here until the end of this video, because before this message is over, you're going to discover exactly what that gesture was that activated your calling, and you're going to receive the protocol that confirms what started can't be reversed. But before we go further, I need to sit with you in what you carried to get here. Because you didn't stumble onto this message by accident. You arrived carrying something. You know what it's like to sit and watch other people accomplish what you only rehearse. To see someone younger, with less road time, less baggage, getting to places you recognize as yours. And that wasn't envy. It was your talent banging against the walls of the drawer you stuffed it in, begging to get out, begging to be used, begging to find the world it was made for. You clapped, you smiled, you genuinely cheered for them. And at night, when the screen went dark and only silence remained, the question that won't stop came back. What was I put here for? You know the nighttime inventory. You know exactly what it is. It's when the day is done, everyone's asleep, and you open the file, the notebook, the Notes app, the idea you've had saved for months, and you start counting what's still sitting on the shelf. The project that should have moved forward. The move you should have made. The list that grows while the year closes out. And along with the list, that feeling grows too. The feeling of wasting something bigger than you can measure, bigger than you can name, bigger than you can explain. You tried to tell someone. You tried to explain the dream, the vision, that thing you feel you came here to do. And when the words came out, they seemed too small compared to what was inside. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual, with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video. And when the words came out, they seemed too small compared to what was inside. The magnitude of the calling didn't fit in the conversation. The sentences arrived on the other side diminished, flattened, almost wrong. So you stopped trying. You learn to carry in silence what doesn't fit in conversation. You learn to be bigger on the inside than on the outside. And that cost you. And there was the nameless weight in your chest. Not a sadness with a specific address. Just the weight. The weight of another cycle closing without the decisive step. Another New Year's, or birthday, or end of the month, with the feeling that something enormous is inside you, and you still haven't let it out. Your chest tightens, your breathing gets shallow, and you don't really know what to do with it. So you just carry it. If this word hit where it hurts, hit that like button right now. The like is your public amen. Heaven registers what you confess out in the open. And I want you to know something. Before we continue, the fact that you're still standing after all this isn't weakness disguised as endurance. It's not passive survival. It's proof that the calling inside you is stronger than the weight that tried to bury it. You carried all of that, and you kept going. That alone is evidence of something the enemy knew and tried to smother. You're here because you need to hear 3 things before you keep going. I put you here because this word is for you. not for whoever you're going to forward it to later. For you, right now, at this moment of this message. The first promise. What looked like a delay to you was never a delay in heaven's plan. You weren't stuck. You were being shaped to handle the weight of what's coming. The delay was never mine. I was waiting for the step only you could take. And the instant you took that step, the calling left the state of promise and became a path. It's never going back to just a promise. What sprouted doesn't go back into the seed. The second promise. Before this video ends, you're going to receive a 3-step protocol to keep the movement going that your gesture already started. It's not theory, not motivation, not content to think about. It's the next concrete moves for someone who's left the plane of promise and entered the plane of active path. The third promise. At the end, you're going to declare out loud with whatever voice you've got, a sentence that seals what happened here. Not as a performance, as a declaration from someone who knows something changed. From talent in a drawer to a calling in motion. From nighttime inventory to a recognized path. From waiting to active destiny. From promise to path. Before I reveal the signs that confirm the movement has already started, I need you to do one thing. Take your eyes off your phone for 3 seconds if you're holding it. If you're on a computer, look away from the screen. Take one deep breath. What's coming now needs your full attention, because the signs I'm about to name have names nobody taught you before, and you're going to recognize everyone. First sign. There came a moment when the ordinary stopped fitting. The routine that used to be enough started squeezing you in a way it never had before. The job that paid the bills, the environment that felt safe, the life that was stable. All of it started feeling small with no visible reason. You tried to be more grateful. You tried to be content. You tried to convince yourself it was ingratitude, that you were wanting too much, that you should be satisfied with what you had, but the discomfort kept coming back. Every time you settled, it came back stronger. You called it chronic dissatisfaction, a rough patch, aimless anxiety, but it was none of that. It was tuning, the calling adjusting your frequency for the next level. When what used to fit starts feeling tight, it's not a gratitude crisis. It's growth being forced from the inside out. The container got too small because what's inside, you got bigger than it. Second sign, the recurring dreams. Same context, same setting, same type of work or mission. Maybe the faces change, maybe the location varies, but the core of what happens in the dream is always the same. You're doing something you recognize as what you came to do. You woke up and tried to analyze it, tried to find psychological meaning, tried to write it off as a coincidence from a tired mind. But it kept coming back, night after night, the same theme with variations. That's not unconscious obsession. It's not some unfulfilled desire manifesting in a trivial way. It's the spirit rehearsing the ground of the calling before your hand gets there. Heaven shows you the destination before it opens the road. The recurring dream isn't nostalgia. It's the GPS of purpose pointing the direction while you still haven't seen the sign. Third sign. The talent started coming after you insistently. You didn't go looking for it. It came looking for you. An opportunity showed up unplanned. Someone asked for exactly what you know how to do without effort. A situation forced you to use what you'd been holding back. And when you used it, it flowed in a way nothing you do out of obligation ever flows. You called it coincidence, a lucky break on a particular day, an alignment that won't repeat itself. But it wasn't. The calling doesn't age while it waits. It presses. It knocks on the door you closed. It finds cracks and gets in anyway because it was placed inside you to come out, not to stay. Before the next sign, I need you to prepare your attention with extra care. What's coming now is the hardest thing to hear. It's the sign the enemy spent the most time trying to make you minimize, dismiss, treat as irrelevant. More time than the other three combined. Fourth sign, the sudden courage that came from a place you still can't quite name. the moment you made that small gesture without planning to, without waiting to feel completely ready, without having all the conditions lined up. Maybe you sent a message you'd been putting off for weeks or months. Maybe you started a line of the project that had been sitting open with no progress. Maybe you said yes to something fear was telling you to safely refuse. Maybe you just said out loud, quietly to yourself, in the bathroom or the car, what you feel you came to do. Maybe you showed up somewhere you weren't obligated to be. The gesture was small, quiet. It seemed insignificant in the moment, and the enemy worked hard to make sure that gesture didn't happen. He whispered that it was too soon, that you weren't ready, that it was a dumb impulse that would pass, that you were fooling yourself about your own importance. But you did it, and when you did, something in the invisible moved, not as a possibility, as a certainty. That small, quiet gesture you made was exactly the move heaven had been waiting years for to activate your calling. The delay was never God's. He was waiting for the step only you could take, and you took it. Type "free" in the comments if this word reached you. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. What I'm about to tell you doesn't work if your attention is split. There's a man who spent 40 years in the wilderness, convinced he'd missed the window for his calling. Moses fled Egypt after trying to act on his own and failing in a way that cost a life. That failure seemed final. He went to the wilderness with one identity, a shepherd for his father-in-law, and stayed there for decades. Every day the same route. Every day the same silence. The same routine. The same apparent stagnation. And if someone had told Moses during those years that he was going to lead an entire people out of slavery, he would have laughed or cried, depending on the day. 40 years in the wilderness don't happen because God forgot about someone. 40 years in the wilderness happen when the mission is so big it needs someone capable of carrying its weight without breaking. The wilderness wasn't punishment. It was school. And when God finally spoke to Moses again, through a bush that burned but wasn't consumed, Moses tried to dodge with the full list of his inadequacies. I can't speak. I'm slow of tongue. Nobody's going to listen to me. I'm not the right person. Send someone else. And God's response wasn't a list of qualifications Moses wasn't seeing. The response was one question. Just one. What's that in your hand? It was a shepherd's staff. The most common, most ordinary, most mundane thing there was. Something he'd been carrying for decades without giving it a second thought. And it was with that staff that the Red Sea parted, that the rock was struck and water flowed, that the people were sustained in battle. The instrument of the calling was in Moses' hand the whole time. He just needed to lift it. Now take the second image. A seed. Any seed from a big tree? Small in the palm of your hand. Dry. Hard. Looking like something dead. But inside it, a process starts that begins with silence and ends with a tree. The seed is buried. Nobody sees what happens inside the ground. Just silence. Just absence. Anyone looking from the outside sees disturbed dirt and nothing more. But inside that darkness, the seed starts working. The internal pressure builds. It builds until the shell that once protected becomes the only obstacle to what's being born. And then what looks from the outside like destruction happens. The shell cracks. The seed seems to die. Someone who doesn't know the process thinks it's the end. Someone who knows understands. That's exactly where the tree started. What looks like the death of the seed is the exact beginning of the tree's life. Germination doesn't start whole. It starts with rupture. Like Moses, who lifted what was already in his hand, like the seed that had to crack its own shell to live, the gesture heaven was waiting for from you was never grand. It was never the big, perfect presentation, the flawless launch, the moment when everything was aligned and conditions were perfect. It was you moving what was already in your hand. It was the shell cracking from the inside out. Type in the comments, Moses or seed? Which one came closest to what you've lived through? Let me stop for a full minute before we continue. You spent years thinking what you were missing was more preparation, more knowledge, more experience, more conditions, more clarity on the right step to take. And while you were trying to get more ready, the calling stayed in a state of waiting. The signs you confused with directionless restlessness, with ungrateful dissatisfaction, with internal agitation that couldn't find an outlet. They were the calling asking for activation. Not asking for more preparation time. Asking for movement. And that small step you took, the one the enemy convinced you to treat as an unimportant impulse, was what heaven was waiting for. The delay was never God's. He was waiting for the step only you could take. And the instant you took it, the calling left the state of promise and became a path. And here's who you are inside all of this. What you're about to hear isn't a title the world gave you. It's not how you define yourself on your heaviest days. It's what I call you when I speak to heaven about you. What's yours is already sealed. Let it come in without filtering. You are the staff bearer. I saw what's in your hands. I saw the years you looked at the talent, the tool, the accumulated knowledge, the ability that exists in you, and thought it wasn't enough for what the calling required. I saw you compare what you had with what others had and feel like something important was missing before you could start. I saw you put away what could have been lifted, and I need you to hear this clearly. The instrument of your calling is in your hand. It always has been. It wasn't missing quality. It wasn't missing quantity. It wasn't missing a credential the world hasn't given you yet. What was missing was you lifting what you were already carrying. What the staff bearer is authorized to do is stop waiting for external validation to begin. What you need to take the next step is already with you right now. It's not coming next semester. It's not going to arrive after the next course. It's here, with you, now. You are the one who crossed the wilderness. I saw every year of apparent stagnation where you stayed faithful without seeing fruit. I saw every time you could have abandoned the conviction that there was something bigger waiting and you didn't abandon it. I saw every night of inventory where you made the list of what hadn't advanced and still didn't let go of the dream. I saw every early morning when the question, "What was I put here for?" came back without a definitive answer, and you didn't give up on the question. I was in the wilderness with you. Every year, every month, every day of silence. The wilderness wasn't punishment for some failure. It was the most rigorous school there is. The one that shapes people capable of carrying enormous responsibility without buckling halfway. What you learned in the waiting, no shortcut could have taught you. What the one who crossed the wilderness is authorized to do is trust what you learned in the silence. The depth the waiting gave you isn't unnecessary baggage. It's the structure that supports the weight of what's coming. Don't waste what the wilderness built in you. You are the activated. I saw the exact instant you took the step, and the invisible responded. I saw the before. I saw the after. I saw the specific moment when hesitation gave way to movement and something shifted sides. That instant is recorded. Not as a memory that fades with time, as a marker in the spiritual plan of what was initiated. The calling entered a state of germination, and what germinated doesn't go back into the seed. What was activated doesn't return to a state of waiting. The delay was never mine. I was waiting for the step only you could take, the movement no one else in the world could have made in your place, because the calling inside you was designed to be activated by what comes from inside you. And you took that step. What the activated is authorized to do is keep moving forward without asking permission at every step, without waiting for external confirmation before every move. The calling has left waiting. It's become movement. And movement sustains itself with movement, not with intention. Type in the comments the name of the identity you just received. Staff bearer. the one who crossed the wilderness, the activated. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, subscribe now. What's yours needs a place to keep arriving. The protocol you're about to receive has a name. The first step. Sealed. 3 concrete movements. For today, first step, name out loud, quietly, the gesture you already made. As soon as this video ends, or right now in silence, say with words what that movement was. It doesn't matter if it seems too small to have a name. Give it a name. Acknowledge out loud, even if it's just a whisper to yourself, that that gesture was the beginning of the calling. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a directionless impulse. It wasn't a coincidence. It was the step heaven was waiting for. Naming is declaring. Declaring is sealing. What you named with your mouth, you've taken ownership of with your life. Second step. Identify the smallest possible next action for today. Not the big one. Not the complete plan that solves everything at once. The next one. The smallest unit of movement you can complete still today. An email you've been putting off. 1 paragraph of the project. A phone call that opens a door. A record of what's already been started. A commitment that closes the next stage. The smallest next action doesn't have to seem important. It just has to be real. It has to be possible. And it has to be today. Third step. Take that step still today, no matter how small, without waiting to feel completely ready. Readiness doesn't come before movement. It comes during movement. Moses didn't feel ready when God said it was time to go back to Egypt. He argued, he resisted, he negotiated, and then he lifted the staff. And the readiness came along with the gesture. Not before, along with it. The calling is confirmed in movement, not in a stored intention. When you take that third step, don't expect euphoria. Don't expect to feel like heaven opened and clarity arrived explosively. The sign that you're on the right path will be quietness. A serene certainty that you're walking in the direction of the calling. Serene. Not noisy, not full of emotion. Serene. That's how heaven confirms what's been initiated. If you're receiving this protocol right now, type received in the comments. Now I need to prepare you for what's coming in the next 72 hours. Because when a calling is activated, the resistance around it increases. The enemy doesn't passively watch what's started. And what he throws at you doesn't come as an obvious attack. It comes wearing the face of something reasonable. In the next 72 hours, 3 things will be launched against you. Not as a possibility, as a certainty. The first is comfort. It's going to show up with the face of wisdom, prudence, balance. It's going to whisper that the way things are is good enough, that you don't need to risk the next step right now, that you can wait for a better moment, a calmer week, a more favorable condition. It's going to present solid reasons not to move forward. Reasons that will sound like protection. Comfort is the most gilded chain there is. It doesn't look like a prison. It looks like wisdom. But every time you hear the voice that says you can wait a little longer without cost, know that you're hearing the enemy trying to send you back to the state of the seed inside the shell. The second is perfectionism. It disguises itself as excellence and responsibility. It's going to show up pointing out everything that's still missing for the next step to be completely ready. It's going to demand more research before moving forward, more preparation, more clarity, a better condition, a more polished version of what you have. Perfectionism isn't wrong for wanting it to be good. It's wrong for using the desire for excellence as a justification for complete paralysis. The ideal condition it promises never arrives. It recedes every time you get close. There's always one more adjustment, one more revision, one more detail that isn't perfect enough. The third is speed comparison. It's going to show you someone else's calling already advanced, with results, with an audience, with recognition yours doesn't have yet. It's going to use that to plant a specific lie, that your calling started too late to get where it needs to go. that others got out way ahead of you, that you missed the ideal timing. But the calling inside you doesn't have a deadline set by the speed of someone else's calling. It has the exact timing of what was planted specifically in you. And there's an enemy even more subtle than these three. It's your own voice disguised as humility and maturity. It's the voice that shows up right after you recognize you took the right step and says, "It was luck. It was a coincidence. It wasn't you. It won't happen again. You're overestimating yourself." That voice uses the language of modesty to steal the certainty the gesture gave you. When it shows up, and it will show up, recognize it. It's not wisdom. It's not spiritual discernment. It's the enemy using your own frequency to transmit his message. Type "protected" in the comments. The decree has been sealed. Now I want you to do something with me. Put both feet flat on the floor. Feel the weight of your body settling down, your feet anchored on solid ground. Open your hands over your legs, palms up, like someone holding an invisible staff, like someone ready to lift what they're already carrying. This isn't a decorative gesture. It's the posture of someone who recognizes what's in their own hand. Now, with your hands open and your feet anchored, I'm going to name what you can let go of here. The fear of not being ready. That feeling that when you finally really move forward, you're going to discover you weren't enough, that something was missing that you didn't know was missing, that people are going to realize you weren't prepared for what you're doing. That fear didn't protect you. It held you back. It wasn't care. It was paralysis dressed up as prudence. You can let it go here. The guilt over the years that seemed lost. The years you could have started and didn't. When the talent stayed in the drawer and you knew it while you closed the drawer again. That guilt has already done what it could do, which was keep you aware that there was something to be done. Now it just weighs you down. It no longer serves as fuel. It serves as a chain. You can let it go here. The hurry to prove the calling is real. The need for results to come fast enough to silence your own doubt and the doubt of those around you. The urgency to demonstrate the gesture was worth it, that the movement makes sense, that betting on your own purpose wasn't a mistake. That hurry doesn't speed up the calling. It distorts its rhythm. The calling proves itself through fruit. Fruit has its own timing. You can let go of the hurry, and now, with your hands open, let the voice that has known you since before you knew yourself speak directly to you. I remember the nights you did the inventory. Every time you opened the file, the notebook, the list of what still hadn't left the paper, and felt the weight of another period closing without the decisive step. I was there on those nights, not distant. There, I saw the weight. I saw the question come back. I saw you put the dream away again because the words came out too small in your last attempt to explain. I saw the talent banging against the walls of the drawer where you shut it. I heard every time you asked what you were put here for. Out loud or just inside your chest, I heard every time, and I need you to understand what happened during those years. The delay was never mine. I wasn't waiting for you to become more capable, more prepared, more worthy of the calling. I was waiting for the step only you could take. A step no one could take in your place. Not because you're the only human being in the world, but because the calling inside you was designed to be activated by the specific movement that comes from inside you. No one could make that gesture for you. And you made it. And in the instant you made it, the calling left the state of promise and became a path. It's never going back to just a promise. What germinated doesn't go back into the shell. What was activated doesn't return to a state of waiting. I call you staff bearer because you always had what you needed in your hands. Always. From the beginning. I call you the one who crossed the wilderness because you stayed faithful when no one saw what was being formed in the silence. I call you activated because the instant you moved what was in your hand was the instant I was waiting for. And when you moved, I moved in response. What's yours is already sealed. What was initiated is already in motion, and I am with you in every step that comes after this one. Not at the end of the calling, in every step, including the next one, which is the smallest you can take still today. Now put your hand over your heart. Say out loud, with whatever voice you have right now, I took the step, and what you were waiting for has already happened. Say it for real, with your mouth, not just in your thoughts. The voice activates what intention alone can't reach. When you said that out loud, you confirmed with your mouth what heaven had already registered. You declared what is real. Type "done" in the comments. Not as a formality, as a declaration from someone who recognizes this message wasn't a transfer of information. It was activation. You're standing differently than you were when this message began. You are not the same person who started this video. What was delivered here has been delivered. It is done. There's someone in your contact list who feels like they're wasting their own purpose, who carries something big inside and fears they're running out of time, who made a small gesture recently and doesn't even know that was the beginning of something. Send this video to that person right now. Just one. You don't need to write a message explaining it. The video speaks for itself. This message was prepared to reach that person through you, and if they want to go beyond what this video can bring, the link is in the first comment, waiting just like it waited for you. The next video on this channel is going to talk about what sustains the activated calling when the euphoria of the first step passes and the movement needs to become discipline. You're going to want to be here for that. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. You are not the same person you were when this message began. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual, with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.